In this video, I'm going to explain the most powerful technique that we can use for opening our third eye or activating our pineal gland, however you want to phrase it. What I'm going to do is explain the idea of the third eye from a rather more practical point of view instead of having it just be this mystical experience and help you learn how to really apply it. Because sometimes there's just so much mystic, esoteric mumbo jumbo out there that makes the concepts hard to relate to. So stick around. Let's talk about the third eye for a minute. Hi, I'm Marna, and thank you for joining me. So the first point on this is me explaining to you in a slightly more relatable way than most do. And then from that point on, I'm going to give you this technique I found that is just so incredibly powerful. And it's really an ancient technique. It's been around for a really long time, but I'm going to break the steps down to make it easier to understand exactly what we're going to do. So to start this out, what I want to do is explain the idea of the third eye and understanding it from a more practical point of view. And really, it's seeing it like this. We have what are called, we have our eyes, our physical eyes. And because we are used to having two eyes, the symbolism of this is that we see in a dualistic way, which means we understand good versus bad, light versus dark, evil versus whatever, and love. And it's the idea that there's that contrast because we're seeing through a perceptual lens of duality symbolized by our two eyes. Now, what the third eye is the pineal gland, which is inside the brain, about just above where on your forehead, just above where your two eyes are, inside your brain is the pineal gland. This is the third eye. Once we open up that eye, it lets us transcend the dualistic nature of our physical eyes and begin to see from a higher vantage point without having to be stuck in the contrast of good versus bad, light versus dark, whatever. And, for so much of our lives, we tend to see everything as black and white, good and bad. And when we transcend that duality and the attachment to ideologies and the limiting beliefs that come from looking at the world from that point of view, then we start to observe rather than react. And a lot of times when we're seeing through our physical eyes and when we're in reaction mode, that's what we're doing. We're reinforcing the reality of versus, X versus Y. That's when we don't actually have our third eye activated. But the way, we can look at this is that when we begin to activate our third eye, is when we let go of these ideologies attached to a dualistic nature, attached to everything being X or Y, based upon what we believe to be true. When we begin to do that, that's when we really begin to then shut off the reactive mind, and we begin to turn on a more imaginative way of seeing the world, a more comprehensive way of perceiving the world. We begin to turn on more the intuitive centers in our mind. And, we're already connected to some higher self, but opening the third eye, whatever you want to call it, once we do that, we start to truly experience that connection to the higher source. Because when you're in the limited dualistic view, there's just too much mental chatter. There's too many conditioned beliefs. There's too many limiting beliefs and an attachment to ideologies that hold us back from actually experiencing that higher source connection. So the first part of this is realizing that the connection is already there. It's just a matter of, are we tuned to it? Are we paying attention to it? Are we feeling the intuition? Are we feeling that connection? Are we allowing ourselves to feel it? Are we focusing on it? I mean, a lot of times we're more focused and immersed in the dualistic nature than from our two eyes. But if we understand that if we put the attention on the idea of the intuitive part of our brain, or the intuitive part of our understanding of how we can see things, when we tap into that by feeling rather than thinking so much, or rather than reacting so much, we then begin to tap into having more ability to connect to that higher source. I mean, the connection is already there, but we need to get rid of all of the baggage and all of the noise that prevents us from experiencing it. So this is done by observing rather than reacting. And when we begin to let go of these reactive ideologies, we will naturally start to have that point to where we then see through our third eye. So I hope this explanation gives you a little bit more understanding. Now, before I explain the technique, because it makes you understand that that connection is already there, it's not about you having to reestablish, it's more about you just opening to it and being able to see through it. Now, the way that we open our pineal gland, or our third eye, is by simply first off detaching from the reactive and the reactivity of the dualistic nature of the beliefs and of the conditioning that we all have. And a simple way to do this is in meditation, and I've put a meditation at the end of this video where we will go through exactly opening the third eye. But the simple way to explain it, if you want to try it on your own, is you sit down, focus on your breathing. Sometimes it helps to stare at a candle flame to keep your mind from wandering. Once you reach that point of focus, just put the awareness of you into an observer mode rather than a reactive mode. Now, the key to this is observing your thoughts while you're in that meditation. Observe the thoughts that come in. Don't judge them. They're not good or bad. If you judge them, then you are resisting changing your perception. Judging is a reactive act. It's still existing in that dualistic nature. So, observe your thoughts. Let it be okay that they're there. And the more that you do that, the more that you find that those thoughts begin to just flow through naturally. When you're no longer resisting them, fighting them, trying to prevent them, then they just come, flow through, and go about their way. And you're not giving them the energy that makes them grow and makes them fight against you. And as those thoughts begin to just flow away from you, then you can do this meditation that I'm going to give you. Now understand first off that this is about really tapping into your imagination. Because our imagination is kind of like the bridge to connecting to that higher version of ourself. Like the idea, and we use our imagination, that's where the power is. Because when we're simply focused on these two eyes, that's where the limitations start. Because we're limited to only what we can see. But if we decide, if we choose that we're going to tap into our intuition, we're going to tap into our imagination, that's where we begin to close the physical eyes and open the observer mind. And then also, the one that's connected to that energy is already there. So to do this, you just go into that meditative state, you observe your mind, you observe your thoughts, you let them flow through without resistance. And then the power of the imagination is so amazing that when you do this, You simply imagine that as your physical eyes are closed, your third eye is closed, and as your physical eyes open, your third eye opens as well. You decide that you're putting the sensation up to your third eye, up this direction. And then you imagine that eye opening. You imagine it's opening. You do that over and over again. Now, the reason we're doing it like this, and I really want to stress this idea, is because it's a symbolic opening. The power really, truly exists inside of you. This is just a tool that you haven't previously used. So you learn how to let go of the conditioned way of thinking that prevented you from using this tool. You have to not identify with the reactive. Let go of the limiting beliefs that hold you back. Expand your mind. And then everything else is already naturally there. You just have to give yourself this very powerful permission slip, because that's what gets you to where you can experience the full effect of the power of your imagination and your intuition. So all you simply have to do is this technique that's been around for a very long time. This is how it was done in the Near East and in other parts of the world where opening the third eye is a natural part of life. So we will be going into a meditative state, looking upwards at our third eye and imagining that opening. And as you begin to tap into more of that energy, that more of that connection that already exists, but has been, previously all cluttered up by your reactive mind, a lot of this is symbolic. The idea of the third eye is symbolic to that connection that we already have. We're simply getting out of our own way so that we can begin to see that we might find certain things that we thought were necessary are actually toxic to us. Taking certain things out of your diet may be more beneficial for you. You hear a lot about the pineal gland getting calcified because of fluoride. And, if your diet changes after you do this meditation, go with it. Your body knows what's best of you. It knows what you need to get rid of the toxic thoughts. It knows what you need to do to get rid of the toxins that are in your body. It knows what you need to do to get rid of the clutter. Because that clutter is what keeps us from feeling that connection. So learn to let go of these things that are cluttering up the connections within you and preventing you from access your full power. All right, so let's do this meditation. This, like I said, this is a really powerful tool. But first thing I need you to do is find a candle flame. And I'm putting one in this video. You're welcome to use it if you do not have an actual candle to focus on. Now then, I would like you to breathe with me. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. And out, 2, 3, 4. Very good. Now in, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. And out, 2, 3, 4. 2 more. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. And out, 2, 3, 4. And in, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. And out, and bring the awareness into your body. Pay attention to your present state. Relax. Relax your forehead. Relax your eyes. Relax your face. feel that relaxation spread through you. And now that you are relaxed, you can close your eyes. Closing your eyes raises the brainwave activity, so you're going to an alpha or even theta state as you shut off visual perceptual awareness. Allow yourself to sink into a meditative state. Allow yourself to open to a deeper experience. Now, with your eyes closed, roll your eyes up so they are looking at the point directly in between your eyebrows. Picture another eye at this point. You may feel some tension at this point on your forehead. That is normal. Allow this feeling of pressure to remain. You're pushing through decades of clutter to open this eye. Of course you'll feel some pressure. As you feel this pressure, imagine this energetic eye opening wide. Allow yourself to look through this energetic third eye. Remember, this eye is not used to being used. You may experience a range of colors. This is a way of perceiving energetic forms, and it is natural to see them around other living beings. Allow yourself to look through this eye, and then open your two physical eyes while your third eye remains open as well. Very good. Take some time to sit with what you're perceiving through your newly opened eye. You may need to do this meditation more than once to fully be aware of these perceptions, and that is okay. Be aware that now you have opened your third eye. It will remain open unless you choose to close it. Now then, I am going to count backwards from 3. When I reach 1, you will be fully awake and aware, and still aware of the new perceptions from your third eye. 3, you're aware of the colors around you. 2, you're aware of the sounds around you. And 1. Please feel free to use this meditation as often as necessary for you to feel that you are in control of your third eye. I am Marna, and thank you for joining me. Have a beautiful night.